As a 35-year-old mother, the day my toddlers vanished into thin air with their nanny was the moment my world fell apart. For 2 agonizing years, I lived in a haze of heartbreak and unanswered questions. I kept hoping, praying for a miracle, and then, as if out of a dream, my heart almost stopped when they appeared at my doorstep in the middle of a quiet afternoon. The mystery behind their return was as haunting as their original disappearance, revealing a truth that would change everything. The mother's new reality shifted into a relentless pursuit, pouring her energy into the search. Police stations became all too familiar. Faces of officers blurred as she asked the same desolate question. "Have you heard anything?" She hired private investigators, hoping they'd uncover what seemed invisible. Each door she knocked on held the promise of answers, yet every lead seemed to slip away. Despite setbacks, she moved forward, resolute and unwilling to accept a world without her children. Her parents stood by her side, anchors through the storm. Their attempts at comfort, a gentle hand on her shoulder, and the soft-spoken, "We're here for you," sometimes punctuated the silence. They offered solace in casseroles and quiet visits, silently urging her to rest. Their presence was a balm, but it couldn't replace the gaping hole left by her missing children. Her resilience only deepened. She appreciated their love, but knew her heart would never mend until her children were home. Late into the night, the hazy glow of her laptop screen lit the room. Desperation guided her through endless pages of news reports. "There must be something here," she would mutter, scanning the lines for overlooked details. Clippings stacked around her. She treated each one like a potential lifeline. Her search was meticulous and relentless, driven by a fierce hope that something, anything, might lead her back to her children. Every headline seemed to mock her, but she pressed on. Friends found themselves at a loss, watching her unravel and unable to reach out effectively. Simple, once typical conversations now felt loaded, each word carefully chosen to avoid triggering. Yet, they acknowledged the hope she clung to. "Let us know if we can help," they'd offer, nervous smiles suggesting both kindness and uncertainty. Her once bubbly life grew quieter. While she welcomed their company, she remained steadfast in her mission, knowing in her heart that one day the silence would break. Even as time crept on, the mother held a candle of hope, unwavering in her belief that her children would return. Short visits to their empty bedrooms fueled her spirit. Tiny shoes and forgotten toys whispered promises of reunion. "They'll be back," she reassured herself, clutching a faded teddy bear. She collected new memories, mental snapshots of what their laughter would sound like. Hope was no longer just a feeling. It became a driving force that refused to wane, ever sustaining her. A year into the darkness, a spark of light appeared. An anonymous call to the police hinted at a possible location of her children. Though cloaked in secrecy, this tip reignited her dwindling hope, like kindling to a flame. The lead seemed fragile, yet it was the first glimmer of optimism in months. "This is it," she whispered to no one. Her heart raced with renewed urgency, and she resolved to follow the breadcrumb trail wherever it might lead. With redetermined vitality, she joined the search at an abandoned farmhouse, nestled at the town's edge. Dust swirled as they approached the weathered structure, its creaks echoing her anxious heartbeats. Armed with the conviction found in a mother's love, she swept through each room. A tapestry of silence and shadows cloaked the halls. The emptiness seemed to linger, as if waiting to reveal hidden truths. Her purpose burned beneath the weight of waiting, her thoughts on the faces she longed to see. As the search party dispersed silently, a small discovery caught her eye. Food wrappers, crumpled and revealing recent habitation, lay scattered. Nearby, a child's toy stood defiantly in the dust. a soldier from a forgotten battle. Each was an echo of life lived within these walls. Their presence suggested closeness, yet the absence of her children pierced like a dagger. She clutched to hope, a resilient shield against despair, determined to unlock the mystery she was only beginning to uncover. Before leaving the farmhouse, she etched a small mark near the doorway, a promise to return. This site, crowded with sentiment, was now a part of her journey. As they departed, she whispered, "Stay safe, my loves." Her optimism didn't falter. What she sought remained beyond reach, yet closer than before. She vowed to revisit, to uncover more, holding tightly to belief as fragile and resilient as spider silk, ready to weave a web of hope from which she would never stray. Despite every setback, the resolve to find her children rose like a phoenix within her. Each day presented new challenges, from false leads to empty promises. But her belief remained intact. She clung to the hope that one day her efforts would be rewarded. Every gut-wrenching moment pushed her further, strengthening her resolve and guiding her like a northern star as she navigated through the darkness, believing her children were near. Unwelcome figures began lurking near her home, an unsettling presence that heightened her anxiety. These strangers silently observed her, and their persistent appearances instilled both curiosity and fear. She found herself constantly glancing over her shoulder, wary of their intentions. Her heart raced whenever she noticed them from her window. Suspicion was her unwelcome bedtime companion, her sleep fractured by dreams of shadows and unanswered questions, amplifying her unease with every passing day. A man in a baseball cap and a woman with distinctive red hair soon became familiar figures in her life. She'd catch glimpses of them at odd times, strategically observing from the sidewalk or lingering in a car parked nearby. Their silent stares were unnerving, stirring a blend of questions and fear. Who were they? What did they want? They seemed to be waiting for something or someone, fueling her growing worries and uncertainty. When she reported these suspicious figures to the authorities, she was met with mixed reactions. Some officers seemed genuinely concerned and jotted down notes, while others dismissed her claims as paranoia, born of grief. "We'll look into it," one officer assured her, though his voice lacked conviction. Despite frustration, she found no comfort in their response. Still, she vowed to remain vigilant, determined to protect herself and ward off the fear creeping into her soul. Deciding to act on her suspicions, she mustered the courage to follow one of them one day. Her heart pounded as she tailed the man in the baseball cap towards the bustling market. He weaved through the crowd with a disconcerting ease, glancing back occasionally. She stayed a few steps behind, her determination unwavering. The market buzzed with life, merchants calling out their wares, but her focus was unyielding as she pursued him. In the bustling chaos of the market, she lost sight of the man. He disappeared like smoke into the throng, leaving her in frustrated solitude amidst the crowd. Her chest tightened with a sense of failure. Another trail gone cold. She scanned the sea of faces, hoping for a glimpse, but it was as if he vanished into thin air. Her shoulders sagged under the weight of missed opportunity, unease gripping her like a vice. The weight of fear and uncertainty was a constant companion, overshadowing her tireless efforts. The lurking strangers, the mixed responses from authorities, and the missed chance at the market compounded into a heavy burden on her heart. Every new day seemed to confront her with more shadows, blending with the fog of her own anxieties. Yet fear would not deter her resolve. She pressed on, a warrior in her own quiet battle, seeking answers. During one of her solitary evening walks, she crossed paths with Mrs. Calhoun, the family's old neighbor. The elderly woman's eyes were filled with empathy as they exchanged greetings. "I think you should know," Mrs. Calhoun began hesitantly, "about the Nanny's past." The tale unraveled a curious history, hinting at secrets buried beneath familiar smiles. This revelation, whispered under the fading sun, offered a new perspective that breathed fresh air into her waning hope. Mrs. Calhoun's mention of the nanny working for another family before hers alarmed the mother deeply. It was a reminder that the woman she had entrusted with her children held secrets. The shadows of past employers and hinted missteps painted a troubling picture. The possibility that these connections were more than coincidence became a relentless question mark in her mind, prompting a renewed sense of urgency to delve into the nanny's history. As she began to dig through the nanny's past, the details slipped through her fingers like sand. Few people seemed to recall much about the nanny's previous life, leaving her frustrated and desperate for clarity. Neighbors from former homes offered vague recollections, hesitant anecdotes that sparked more questions than answers. The nanny's shrouded past seemed to tease a connection to her vanished children, urging her onward to uncover the truth lying beneath the surface. After thanking Mrs. Calhoun for her insights, I felt a renewed urgency to explore the nanny's history. There was too much I didn't know about her past. Each piece of information Mrs. Calhoun shared felt like a puzzle piece, hinting at a picture just out of reach. Determined, I decided to dig deeper, convinced these hidden facets were crucial to understanding whatever role the nanny played in the disappearance. Determined to uncover potentially revealing details, I started visiting people who might have crossed paths with the nanny. Former employers, friends, and acquaintances harbored untapped stories. "Do you recall anything odd?" I would query, noting every raised eyebrow or hesitant pause. Each tidbit, though small, painted a sketch of a life shrouded in mystique. Her background was as elusive as the shadows, but my pursuit of the truth would not be derailed. In my visits, I slowly unraveled the threads of the nanny's tangled life. Her existence swirled with secrets and unexplained gaps. Many described her as private, almost reclusive, with connections that bore scrutiny. Whispers of past disputes and hidden relationships emerged, creating a mosaic of enigmas leading me to believe she was involved in something more complex than just caring for children. Each revelation urged me forward, compelling me to dig deeper. Neighbors from her former residences recalled late-night visitors that piqued their suspicions. "She kept odd hours," one remembered, her brow furrowing as if peering through her memories. These mysterious comings and goings painted a picture of happenings beyond routine childcare. Was there something more sinister at play, or was it merely an eccentric lifestyle? Each detail heightened my anxiety, pointing toward a hidden dimension of involvement I couldn't ignore. An estranged relative hinted at turbulence and unrest in the nanny's family, alluding to disputes and financial woes. She needed the money, they mentioned, in a hushed tone, implying unspoken catalysts for her behaviors. This tangled web of personal strife only deepened my suspicions. Was desperation a motive, or simply a coincidence? These revelations further tangled the narrative, suggesting that a confluence of personal issues might have influenced her actions. My unease grew with every uncovered detail, sharpening my suspicion that the nanny played a central role in the disappearance. Her decisions, seemingly veiled by personal crises, indicated that there was more to the story. Could her financial instability have driven her to take drastic measures? I felt an urgency gnaw at me, propelling my resolve to unravel the enigma of her involvement. I couldn't ignore the patterns emerging around her presence. Rumors of other missing children cases involving live-in nannies began to circulate. These unsettling accounts mirrored my own trauma, chilling anecdotes of young lives misplaced under the guise of care. Was this an isolated case or the tip of something larger? The silence in which these tales shared space with my own echoed terrifyingly familiar. These suspicions fueled my fear, deepening the mystery of the tangled threads affecting my children and me. Driven by determination and an undercurrent of fear, I threw myself into investigating these cases. I scoured forums and parent support groups, seeking out anyone with similar stories. Each shared experience resonated with echoes of my narrative, ballooning the urgency. "We need to connect the dots," I told the parents I found. Their stories paralleled my own, stories of trust shattered and lives upended. The unsettling similarities nudged us further down a shared path. I arranged meetings with other affected families, hoping to draw parallels between our experiences. Sitting face to face with these weary souls, I found comfort in shared sorrow and mutual understanding. "Our stories are too similar to ignore," one father claimed as we mapped out our timelines. Each narrative, a haunting echo of mine, fostered a sense of unity, reinforcing the belief that unraveling one mystery might unveil them all. Together, we assembled information on nanny agencies, zeroing in on individuals of interest. Each agency presented a new rabbit hole, masking potential links between our long-lost children and the caregivers we'd trusted. "We need comprehensive records," I emphasized, gathering names and subtle leads. We cataloged behaviors, timelines, and places, hoping to expose hidden networks. This collective endeavor breathed new life into our fight. As stories intertwined and connections revealed paths to follow. A local news reporter unexpectedly reached out to me, intrigued by my story of loss and persistence. She proposed sharing my journey with a wider audience, hoping to uncover details hidden from view. At first, I hesitated, wary of the public scrutiny. However, desperation nudged me to accept, believing her platform could provide the breakthrough I desperately needed. Little did I know, this exposure would ripple through my life in unexpected ways. In the interview, I opened myself completely, bearing the depth of my pain and loss. My voice trembled as I recounted the chilling day my toddlers disappeared and the exhausting search for answers that followed. The reporter listened, nodding sympathetically, her pen scribbling furiously. I hoped by laying my heart bare, someone watching might hold a piece of the puzzle. Sharing my story was a gamble, but it was one I was willing to take. Soon after the broadcast, tips began to flood in from viewers. While many were supportive, eager to help, not all led to tangible clues. "Check the park near Maple Street," one caller suggested, prompting an immediate investigation that fizzled into disappointment. Yet, amidst the maze of dead ends and false hope, I held on to the possibility that one tip could prove promising, leading me closer to the truth I've been seeking. One particular lead, unlike the others, pointed me toward an isolated cabin, hidden deep within wooded outskirts. It was described with striking similarities to a location my toddlers might have mentioned. The revelation ignited a spark of hope within me, breathing life into my weary resolve. With no time to waste, I coordinated a search plan, fingers crossed tightly, praying this was the lead that would unravel the mystery of my children's disappearance. Armed with newfound hope, I approached the police, sharing the promising lead about the secluded cabin. Their interest piqued. Officers agreed to accompany me in the search. We drove in a caravan of anticipation, the weight of potential answers heavy in the air. Every turn through the dense forest felt like peeling back layers of uncertainty. My heart raced, eager yet apprehensive, as we ventured deeper into the unknown, a step closer to clarity. The search through the rugged terrain was both physically demanding and emotionally taxing. Each rustling leaf and snapping twig heightened our alertness, pulling us deeper into the forest. The cabin stood alone amidst a canopy of towering trees, its air thick with their silent watch. Despite exhaustion gnawing at my bones, I pushed forward, driven by the promise of answers that seemed tantalizingly within reach, determined to exhaust every possibility despite the toll it took. Within the cabin, we unearthed potential clues: abandoned toys, clothing tags, and telltale signs suggesting a recent human presence. Each discovery seemed frustratingly inadequate in providing definitive answers. Frayed hope entwined with rising frustration as my mind raced with unanswered questions. Could this really be it? I questioned aloud, drawing silent nods from the officers. Though tangible answers remained elusive, the faintest glimmers of insight pushed me onward in my relentless quest for the truth. My search, unwavering and relentless, refused to falter despite exhaustion that pulled at my spirit. Even as hope became a fading beacon in the murky fog of uncertainty, I pressed on. No setback was too daunting, no lead too small. We'll find them, I reassured myself, clinging to the belief that my determination would eventually illuminate the path to my children. The journey was long, but my resolve was an unyielding flame within. Sifting through archived footage of my emotional interview sparked a moment of clarity. In the background, I caught a faint voice, a background caller, offering what seemed like an inadvertent clue, overlooked amidst my raw emotions at the time. "Listen closely," a fellow investigator suggested, pointing to the screen. Realization dawned on me, a potential lead nestled within the broadcast, urging a revisit. It was an opportunity I couldn't afford to dismiss, a new direction to pursue. The elusive background voice on the footage, upon careful review, held more significance than initially perceived. It mentioned a specific detail, an address I hadn't considered, possibly connected to my children's plight. With renewed urgency, I reached out to my support network, eager to trace this tantalizing lead. It felt like discovering a spark amid dying embers, reigniting anticipation that perhaps their mention carried the key to finally resolving this complex, unraveling mystery. Guided by fragments from the past, I sifted through clues that had long been buried under piles of doubt. Investigating past tips, I found a connection nobody had noted before, a critical piece of information tucked in an overlooked report. It felt like finding a small yet important cog in a sprawling machine. With clarity beginning to surface, I understood that this clue was crucial to unlocking the mystery and steering my search in the right direction. Teaming up with a reliable confidant, we worked tirelessly to uncover the caller's identity. Late nights turned into early mornings as we combed through phone records and pieced together scattered information. "We've got a match," my confidant finally pointed out with triumph, revealing a name associated with the elusive tip. This discovery renewed my determination. The identity gave me a real lead to pursue, unraveling yet another thread of the tangled story surrounding my children's disappearance. The search for my children led me to an unassuming house nestled in a quiet neighborhood. From the outside, it seemed no different from any other. Ordinary, perhaps even mundane. Yet, stepping closer, I felt a palpable tension. My heart echoed the rhythmic beat of hope and fear combined. This could be it, I reminded myself as I braced for what we would find inside, knowing that appearances seldom told the full story behind closed doors. Inside that ordinary-looking house, we peeled back layers of normalcy to unveil a hidden network of disguised child caretakers. Each corner, each small detail whispered secrets of a broader operation masked by everyday facades. Mingling voices and phantom footsteps echoed remnants of a community forged in shadows. This discovery didn't just confirm suspicions, it expanded them. It was as if someone had lifted the veil, revealing a world where children existed in liminal spaces, cared for, yet concealed. In the underbelly of the network, children shared tales of nurturing caregivers in hushed voices, seemingly unaware of the world beyond. Their stories brimmed with content yet disconnected moments, locked away from what they knew as lost. "Do you remember outside?" I asked softly, watching for flickers of recognition, but their faces lit up only with tales of gentle hands and kind words, not realizing the invisible chains that kept them bound to a life unexplained. In a moment that felt both surreal and deeply real, I found my children among the group. Overwhelmed with joy, I dropped to my knees, pulling them into an embrace I'd imagined countless times before. "Mama," they whispered, their voices ringing like familiar songs in my ears. Tears blurred my vision as I held them tight, relief washing over me. Finally, reunited, the haunting absence melted into the background, replaced by the warmth of newfound presence. The house transformed into a tapestry of reunions as more families found their children. Emotions ranged from joyful sobs to silent embraces, each marked by a mutual understanding of pain and relief. "It's them!" one mother exclaimed, her voice a mix of disbelief and happiness. We shared stories, our timelines synchronizing in amazing ways. Soon, each narrative blended into an overarching tale of resilience, weaving itself into a fabric that, with each stitch, brought us closer to closure. Leaving the house, I sensed the nightmare was nearing its end. A cycle that had begun with despair now looped into hopeful beginnings. "It's over," I whispered to myself, imagining a future filled with laughter and healing. The darkness that once clouded my thoughts now had a silver lining. Surrounded by supportive families and buoyed by newfound certainty, my heart soared with the hopeful possibility of rebuilding from the continuum of mystery toward a bright new day. The mystery unfurled as we uncovered the truth behind the elaborate network. Documents and testimonies pieced together a structure of concealed operations, overseen by individuals using misplaced good intentions. "They thought it was best," a voice explained, revealing misguided motives. Tables filled with evidence, papers, photographs, and names drew up a schematic of lives redirected, not as an act of malice, but rather a misaligned sense of protection. Understanding this, we gathered strength to set wrongs right. As the network's details surfaced, so too did the role of the nanny. Her motivations became clear, her secrets unraveled like twine. She wasn't merely a caretaker, but a facilitator inadvertently tangled in the scheme's web. "I thought it was the best for them," she'd stated, her voice hinting remorse. With her truths laid bare, an oddly sympathetic image emerged, reshaping the narrative. Though her actions were misguided, beneath them lay a nuanced complexity none of us expected. Pressured by the weight of debts that hung over her like a dark cloud, the nanny found herself embroiled in ill-fated promises of temporary custody. It was a setup, alluded to with kind words and false assurances of betterment for the children. Her actions, driven by desperation, revealed a deeper involvement than she had ever admitted. This revelation added a new layer to the tapestry of events, offering a glimpse into her tangled decisions. From their innocent perspective, the children believed they were on an extended holiday. They spoke of weekend-like days filled with outdoor adventures and whimsical stories. I listened intently as they shared memories of new faces and places, their voices unmarked by understanding the seriousness behind their absence. This unexpected insight shifted my view, making me realize they were shielded from the gravity of their situation by a child's simple joy. Slowly, the jigsaw of their absence began to slot neatly into place. Each piece a mixture of bewildering discoveries and the simple truths of a child's world, came together to create a clearer picture of what had happened. Recollection of shared anecdotes and newfound memories shed light on the once all-consuming darkness. The complex interplay of those involved emerged, adding depth to the mystery surrounding my children's innocent eyes and experiences. Reuniting with my children changed our lives in ways I hadn't imagined. Having them back felt like piecing together a part of myself that had been lost. Their return altered our daily rhythms, creating new routines centered around rediscovery and healing. In their presence, the house felt complete again, echoing the joyful sounds of laughter and everyday life. The darker days seemed to fade away as I embraced them, knowing this new chapter carried hope. Together, we embarked on a journey to heal from our past. Each day, we picked up the pieces of our interrupted lives, building bridges of trust and understanding. My children's laughter slowly returned, a melody that painted our days with color. Little acts, like morning pancakes and bedtime stories, became our therapeutic patches, stitching a quilt of comfort over past scars. Our unity as a family knitted resilience into our shared narrative, crafting strength from our trials. Determined to protect our newly reassembled family, I implemented preventive measures to ensure their safety. I scrutinized every face and questioned every stranger, unwilling to leave anything to chance. Safety locks, school visits, and community vetting became part of our everyday arsenal. My past naivety spurred a proactive stance, vowing to shield my children from past uncertainties. By fortifying our life, I sought to guard against threats that still lingered like echoes on the horizon. The lingering awareness of danger prompted me to adopt a vigilant approach in our everyday lives. Each passerby became a subject of analysis, every shadow a potential threat. Vigilance became second nature, an instinct that never slept. Conversations with other parents, sharing tips and awareness, fortified our collective perception. This sense of cautious diligence stitched a backbone of resilience into our interactions, gradually transforming fear into a strategic awareness that reassured rather than oppressed. With time, a tranquil sense of closure settled within our family, easing the turmoil that once roiled beneath the surface. Our home began to feel like a sanctuary again, a safe harbor from the chaos that had disrupted our lives. The calm allowed each of us to breathe easier, to find comfort in the simple cadence of shared meals and peaceful nights. My heart, though still guarded, found a rhythm in this peace, restoring balance to our lives. Our painful ordeal, indelibly etched into our existence, left its mark, shaping our understanding of vulnerability and strength. The trials we faced taught us resilience, a skill we wove into every aspect of our lives. It opened our eyes to the importance of cautious trust and community vigilance. From darkness, we forged an awareness that would guide our steps moving forward, reflecting a deeper appreciation for the bond that weathered storms and emerged stronger than before. Understanding the preciousness of our newfound safety, our family embraced life with a renewed focus on togetherness. Each day, we cherished simple pleasures, cementing these moments as cornerstones of our resilience. The past had taught us to savor the present, turning ordinary activities into extraordinary events through a lens of gratitude. We inhaled the warmth of security, letting it permeate everything we did, cementing a future rooted in love, hope, and the lessons time taught us. In a desperate bid to escape financial turmoil, the nanny made decisions that reverberated far beyond her intentions. Her involvement with the shadowy network initially seemed a temporary measure, a means to an end that would dissolve her debts. Yet the realization of the complexity she had stepped into dawned too late. Each choice she made left ripples in her wake, intertwining lives in unexpected ways and setting the stage for consequences none could foresee. To secure her debts, the nanny unknowingly lured families into a precarious arrangement. Promises of temporary guardianship and improved living conditions for the children masked a troubling reality she never envisaged. The families, drawn in by offers of safe haven, unwittingly stepped into this tangled web. The network's persuasive allure and hints of better life comforted them momentarily, unaware of how deeply these deceptive deals would affect their lives and lead them into chaos. Finally, the underlying scheme of temporary custodianship came to light. The network's orchestrated plan to relocate children under the guise of care and protection surfaced with clarity. Documents and testimonies revealed systems that were neither benign nor altruistic. Families, like mine, found ourselves at the mercy of a mechanism that functioned in shadows, each part intricately designed to obscure its true intent. As layers peeled away, the complexity and reach of this scheme began to unravel. Driven by the unraveling truth, we navigated through the chaos wrought by the nanny's actions, while her initial steps seemed misled. The resolution required meticulous efforts to untangle the complex web. Families, united by shared experiences, worked together to restore equilibrium. The systems, once a shrouded mystery, now lay exposed, allowing us to initiate closure. Although this process proved arduous, it was a crucial step towards reestablishing stability and moving forward with newfound clarity. Finally liberated from the uncertainty and fear, we turned our focus to rebuilding our lives with intentional care. This new beginning was not just a continuation, but a transformation, a chance to reclaim what had been shared with others unknowingly. Each day saw us reweaving threads of normalcy into our routines, carefully nurturing our bonds. While shadows of the past remained, they no longer cast the overshadowing darkness, allowing us to step into the light of renewed hope. We held on to the reconciliation like a lifeline, realizing our bonds had grown stronger with every trial faced. Trust, once fragile, fortified our familial ties, transforming previous uncertainties into newfound assurances. Simple moments, shared meals, quiet conversations became cherished treasures as we pieced our lives together one day at a time. This period of healing fortified us, building a stronger unity that proved more resilient than anything we had ever known, propelling us into a hopeful future. As life settled into a blessed routine, I, the mother, found myself cherishing each moment with a profound gratitude. Every laughter-filled dinner or lazy Sunday afternoon became a gift in itself. The void that once held loss now brimmed with a vibrant love woven through shared experiences and joyful memories. These moments, previously marred by absence, reminded me daily of our shared resilience and the richness of family, restoring a cherished happiness. Recognizing the enduring spirit that carried us through, I moved forward with hope, anchoring every step. The journey from despair to renewal underscored life's unpredictable valleys and peaks. Our resilience inspired a fresh outlook. Past challenges became stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Guided by hope, I embraced each new day, uplifting my children's spirits as we stepped together into a brighter future filled with possibilities. The venture ahead bristled with promise, fueled by hard-won optimism. Through relentless perseverance, my family embarked on a healing path, discovering peace within the scars of our journey. Each step forward, no matter how small, affirmed our strength and resilience. Support networks formed, offering understanding and comfort, aiding our movement towards closure. In the echoes of past trials, we found lessons wrapped in compassion and forgiveness. Pursuing this newfound peace, I felt the heavy weight of fear lift, replaced by a profound sense of calm. With love reaffirmed, our family embraced a new beginning, crafted from compassion and boundless hope. Guided by past lessons and future dreams, our unity became the cornerstone of this fresh chapter. Each day unfolded with unwavering resolve to cherish and protect. As the shadows of the past faded, our hearts pulsed with joy, weaving life's tapestry in vibrant hues of love. Together, we stepped into the future, stronger, bolder, and unwavering in our pursuit of happiness.